Is now live, and then for a change, we're waiting for YouTube. And we're now live on YouTube. Welcome, everybody, to another edition of the Daily Bullet. I'm Paul Lathrop. I'm the Deputy Director of New Media for the Second Amendment Foundation. Joining me today, immediately to my right on your screen, is Amanda Suffolk. She is one of the two people behind Eye on the Target Radio, nationally syndicated radio program you should really be listening to on Sunday afternoons. And joining us to the far right on your screen is Philip Van Cleve. He is the president of the Virginia Citizens Defense League, which is way too long to put on the little title that's underneath his name, which is why it's VCDL there. So thank you both for joining me today. What I want to talk about is, and it's been all over the internet, despite the fact that VCDL kind of got limited. VCDL got deplatformed, and I believe, did I hear, Philip, you got deplatformed as well on Facebook? They just said you're now persona non grata?
Yeah, out of the clear blue. I really rarely used Facebook. My main usage was to kind of just watch what was going on with the VCDL page and group. Once in a blue moon, I'd make a comment, like somebody would ask a question, I'd give them an answer or something. But not a big user of Facebook. But they accused me of doing, and they didn't even tell me what it was. They just said, "Oh, you broke a rule," and it was so bad that we can't even tell you what it is, or can we reinstate your account ever? And so a couple weeks later, they reinstated the account, apologized, and then a few days later, it was gone again. And it was, and the same thing has happened with the VCDL pages, up and down, up and down. They apologized. Oh, we made a mistake. Oh, no, we didn't. Boom. And in no case have they told us what the problem is. It's, they use the excuse of privacy or this and that. Well, if it's my page, what kind of privacy are they hiding from me or from the group? It's been insane. And to show you how bad this is, we had like 6 or 7 moderators. These were people who their sole job was to watch the Facebook page, and if something did get posted that was untoward or wasn't appropriate, they would immediately delete it. So they were enforcing Facebook's rules. Well, guess what? When Facebook took down the page, they took all those people completely off the system. They lost their contacts with family and friends, all the photographs they stored, and all they were doing was helping to make sure that the VCDL site stayed in compliance. And so as reward, they got totally taken off the system.
Wow.
So in effect, you were punished for being in the heart of Virginia, where the Second Amendment fight is happening. Is that your gist of what's going on, or what?
I don't think they don't like the Second Amendment. They don't like the First Amendment either, unless they're the one in control. But no, they don't like the Second Amendment. And our organization has been around since 1995. We have never had one single problem, not one arrest, not one of anything like that. Our events has always been peaceful. Our organization has always been about standing up for the Second Amendment, but doing it in a legal way, in a nonviolent way. Always. We've never deviated from that. If they were going to pick a least likely group to do this to, it would have been us.
Wow. So, now I want to bring one other topic in real quick, and that was that you folks also, and we talked about this early in the Daily Bullet series, you were told that for Lobby Day, you were no longer going to be able to do Lobby Day. Instead, you did something really cool. Describe what you did, if you would.
Yeah, well, I'll set it up first of what they did to us. For 18 years in a row, we have had the 11 o'clock slot at the bell tower on the Capitol grounds to have our rallies. Usually the rallies are between 800 and 1,000 people. Last year, 2020, we had over 50,000 people show up. And for that, they declared an emergency. The governor declared an emergency. He fenced off part of the area, said it was a gun-free zone in there. And did everything he could to scare people away. Oh, the Ku Klux Klan's going to show up and cause problems, and Antifa's going to be there. None of that turned out to be true. It was totally peaceful with that many people, not one problem. In fact, Richmond was cleaner when we left. So flash forward to this year, and they had told us, and not just me, but other gun organizations, if you want to reserve the bell tower, you cannot do it more than 6 months out, which is July. So right when the 6-month mark hit, I was on the phone. I called him and said, okay, I'm ready to reserve the bell tower. And I was told, some organizations have already booked the bell tower, and they booked every other slot that day. It's like, what? I mean, how's that possible? I'm calling you on the first day of this thing. So they wouldn't tell me. So we did a Freedom of Information Act. And it turned out it was gun control groups that a year ago, we were told 6 months we couldn't book it. Before that, they booked it a year out and got it. And so that's how they locked us out of that. Well, it's, you've heard of karma. Well, karma was there too. Because they did that, we planned what was called a rolling rally, rolling for the Second Amendment, rolling for the 2A. This was caravans. One of them was 10 miles long of cars coming in, decked out with flags and guns save lives signs and all kinds of pro-gun stuff. Trucks, even had stuff from World War II, big army trucks. We had 18-wheelers. All of this stuff coming in. It was 10 miles from the west, 3 miles long at least from the north. I'm not sure how long from the east and south, but the east and south. But these were big caravans. Now look, we weren't trying to cause a problem. I had scheduled each caravan to arrive at a different time. The north was arriving at noon, the east was arriving at 1, the south was arriving at 2, and the west was arriving at 3. So we weren't trying to lock Richmond down. We were trying to have the fact just the opposite. We wanted everybody to flow through. We were obeying traffic lights, the whole bit. This was just a flow through of cars, all decked out. Believe me, it was gorgeous. And we coordinated with the Richmond police on it, but nope. When the time came, the first caravan went through. Then they started shutting down roads, and so especially the fourth caravan. By the time they arrived, they couldn't even go through downtown like the first caravan had. They had to do a short circuit. They did pass where the Senate was meeting, but that's it. And then after that long drive, they had to turn right around and head back. In fact, that bus got stopped by the Richmond police. We had a lawyer behind the bus in his private car. He got out of the car and went up to the police officer and said, by the way, you have no authority to be searching that bus. And then they held the bus, and we found out later that basically the police said, well, the bus and all these cars making a disturbance, so you don't have a permit for a disturbance, so we can't let you back through Richmond. And when the bus driver said, yeah, we're just going to leave, then they let him go. By the way, the police, I don't know what planet they were on, there were, I don't know how many cars following the bus. So when they stopped the bus, now you've really created a traffic jam because all the cars behind it stopped.
Yep.
And so, but we estimate over 1,000 vehicles participated in that. We didn't get to see them all in any one spot thanks to the police shutting down streets. And but again, if it wasn't for a big caravan, they wouldn't have been shutting down streets. If it had only been 50 cars or 100 cars, they would have just whizzed on through and been done with it. Oh no, Richmond was getting shut down left and right. It was an amazing thing to see.
Oh, that is great. Absolutely great.
We got a lot of press.
So go ahead, Paul.
We've got a lot of social media comments coming in, mostly just backing you folks up and some censorship things and like that. But one that I think is really pertinent, and this comes from DJ Play Nice on YouTube. He says, Mr. Van Cleve, what other Virginia 2A organizations or groups has VCDL worked with, and are there any that out-of-state activists should check out? Well, I want to say before I toss it to you, Phil, VCDL, you should absolutely be checking them out because they are there doing the work in Virginia. They are the group I go to when I need to know what's going on in Virginia. Philip's the guy I contact. So, but I'll leave that up to you, Phil. Are there any other organizations you guys work with, or are you kind of standing alone out there?
Gun Owners of America, but they're a national organization. They also do state level stuff, but basically GOA just doesn't have a Virginia thing they're doing because they have us. We're not directly affiliated, but they know that Virginia's covered thanks to VCDL.
Right.
That said, we've worked together off and on since the beginning of this organization, so we have a great relationship with Gun Owners of America. NRA had nothing to do with our rally. None of the other gun organizations in Virginia had, we basically every year we stood on our own. In fact, last year, the NRA did their own rally a week before our major 50,000 person rally, saying, well, the VCDL rally's too late, these bills are coming in. Well, the bills, there's plenty of time. They don't pass overnight. It takes weeks to get these things processed. But we told our members, hey, go to the NRA rally too. Let's do both of them. Let's not have any failures here. Let's show up. So they had like 2,000 or 3,000 at their rally. And then, like I say, flash forward 1 week and we have 50,000.
50,000.
But we're willing to work with anybody, but they're not always willing to work with us.
Well, and that is great that you guys are, because you've really got a reputation of you've got an issue and that's it, and it's a very, very open tent for that. So did I hear somewhere that you were also taken off of your email platforms too?
Yes. Okay. And they just by the way, all of this stuff, Facebook, MailChimp taking us off where we couldn't, all happened within a few days of lobby day. Again, like I said, they did not want, the powers that be, including our governor, did not want that lobby day to happen in any way, shape, or form. And I don't think they were happy that we found a way around their block. Their blockade, they shut down the Capitol. They put fences around the whole thing. Because of COVID, you couldn't have more than 10 people together. So they figured they'd shut us down, but this rolling caravan shut that to pieces. Everybody's in their own car, so COVID doesn't apply. And they had no control over us. We weren't doing an event. We were just driving through Richmond, so they couldn't even use the new ordinance in Richmond to say no guns. We totally outflanked them on this whole thing. So, and they basically wanted to shut us down. So here, presto changeo, here comes Facebook, knocks me off, then knocks the group off, and they knocked us off MailChimp. I say MailChimp was like 3 days. I had urgent alerts to update everybody. As you got closer to the date, we had to update, and boom, we're gone. So we were actually in the process of switching platforms. We were going to leave MailChimp, but not that quickly. We weren't ready yet. So we hustled, and within a day and a half, we had a new platform to start getting alerts out on. By the way, I did mention karma earlier. Because they cut us off early, we planned the rolling caravan. If they had given us the permit at the bell tower 2 or 3 days before the event, they would have canceled the permit like they canceled all the permits, and we would have had no way to organize something like that rolling rally in 3 days. The only people that got kicked out because of that were the gun controllers who had stole the bell tower, and at the end that got ripped away from them. So there was a certain amount of karma in how that worked out.
Very cool. So go ahead, Amanda.
Let me ask about the bell tower. So now that you know that there is no beginning date for reserving the bell tower, are you guys going to reserve it 5 years out and, with a hi-de-ho to them,
Well, there's another part of this puzzle I haven't mentioned yet. The governor had been working to change the rules for the bell tower. And the rules that I'm convinced that they are going to pass, they hadn't passed as of late December, but they probably already got it. I just haven't checked because I don't care anymore. But the rule was that they can take away your permit for the bell tower at any time if a senator, a delegate, or the governor needs to use the bell tower for one of their events. Boom, your permit's gone the night before, a week before, or even worse, if you say you're going to have 1,000 people there and 1,005 show up, they can cancel your permit on the spot, event over, mic pulled, you're done. So we can't have any, until we get a real governor and we get a legislature that believes what the people want again, and we're stop being all corrupt at all levels in Virginia, we are not going to be able to use the bell tower. Now, we've got some other alternatives. We're looking at some other clever ways to do this, but it won't be at the bell tower because they've destroyed the freedom of speech unless you agree with the governor and the General Assembly. Otherwise, otherwise we could have 50,000 people showing up next year only to find out hours before that it's been canceled. Now what do you do? We're not putting people through that.
Now,
we're going to know what.
Now everybody has a picnic on the on the Capitol grounds, right?
Yeah.
Just individuals.
And the police don't really want anything to do with any of this,
Right.
So, but this is ridiculous, and this is what happens when you've got bad people at all levels of government. We have an election in Virginia this year. We're the only state in the country that's having a major election in 2021, and that elects the entire House of Delegates. So in 2021, November 2nd, if we all get out and vote, they only have a 5-vote majority in the House. All we have to do is take back 5 or 6 seats, and boom, control switches back. Now we'll have a firewall, and we can begin to roll back these gun control laws.
Well, Jill says that you should run for governor.
Yeah, no, thank you. Although it is funny she said that. I should keep this thing handy. Years ago, in the early 2000s, we had a governor's race, and the Republicans put forward a candidate that everybody was holding their head going, geez, really? You had to put this guy up? He's no good on guns. He's not good on this. And then we had a bad Democrat. So people printed up, they actually had printed up and distributed Van Cleve for governor. I still got some of them in my drawer just to show people. And people were putting them on their trucks and cars, basically saying, we've got nobody else to vote for. And I honestly think I did get votes in that election as a write-in.
Oh, that would be amazing. But so you don't have anybody in the Senate that is on your side at all. There's not anybody that's a pro-gun person that can take a stand with you, or not?
Republicans, yeah, we got lots of, the Republicans in the Senate, it's only a 1-vote majority. But the Democrats, we have to have 2 votes to stop them, because they also have the lieutenant governor. So if it was a 50-50 tie, the governor always votes bad. He's the one that was accused of raping a couple of women. We've got real winners up there right now. So there are 4 or 5 Democrats in the Senate that are sometimes good on guns. They should all be good on guns all the time, but they're good sometimes. And they are the ones that help with the Republicans that killed a bunch of really bad gun control last year. That big rally last year paid off. We killed the worst of the gun control and watered down everything else. But we need to redo the Senate. We can't do that for 2 more years, but this year we could fix the House, and that would be huge.
That would be. So here's a question: how do out-of-staters join VCDL so that they can stay in contact, they can help you, and they can show their support? Because when they took your Facebook away, when they took away your MailChimp, when they took away your ability to communicate to the outside world, I mean, it really cripples an organization. So how do we help you? How do you bolster up another batch of karma?
But you can join our group online. We have members from across the country and even some out of the country that either maybe people working in other countries or just people like we got some in England that strongly support our rights here and are hoping someday to get their rights back. But just go to vcdl.org. So like right below my name on the screen, vcdl.org is an organization, or you can see behind me on the blue background. And you can join there. You can sign up for our free VA alert. That people love that. We got 58,000 people on that. And that's where we send out alerts on everything going on dealing with guns, mostly in Virginia, but we occasionally bring in things from other states if we feel it's important for Virginia gun owners to know about. And that's something people love, that thing, because it's focused on guns. We're not going to get sidetracked on anything else. It's going to be focused on gun rights. And like you said, we're a big tent. We have, our members are our slice of America. You name it, we've got it as a member. And what ties them all together is, regardless of what they believe socially or politically, they believe that our right to protect ourselves and our families is the most important right of all.
I want to bring in a comment. Pete says VCDL is using online tools, including live, very well, sharing info, preparations for the event, etc. Great example of a state-level group adapting to keep their membership aware. Thank you, he says. And I think you did do a very good job of keeping your people involved even when you had some issues.
Yeah, and that's critical. We're a grassroots organization. You don't just throw money at us and then expect us to do everything. We count upon our members being, patriot activists. These are people that are not going to sit still and not going to put up with this stuff. But we've got a lot of gun owners still that are sleeping at the switch. A lot of them woke up. If you remember last year, we had 105,000 people at least that showed up to make sanctuaries, localities across Virginia. 95% of the state is a sanctuary. If you look at a map of Virginia that plots that out, it's almost all solid green, except for the little pockets that look like pimples that represent the communist parts of the state, like Alexandria and Fairfax and Charlottesville and Roanoke City. Normally some of those sleepy localities, if they were lucky on a really contentious night, they might get 50 people out to a board of supervisors meeting. Some of those had 4,000 people. They had to move to schools, and then they flooded entire auditoriums. They had to put out warnings about traffic jams in the middle of nowhere country because of this turnout. If these gun owners stay awake, we can reverse everything. There's about 2 million gun owners in a state of 8 million. Don't tell me we can't affect elections if we stand together. We just need to get the hunters, the target shooters, the concealed carriers, all gun owners. If you own a gun, you're part of a family, and we need to act that way. We need to act like NATO. You attack that hunter's gun rights, you've attacked my concealed carry rights as far as I'm concerned. We're going to stand together, and we need to all do that. And then they won't be able to attack hunters. They won't be able to attack target shooters. They won't be able to attack concealed carry, because every time they do, an army of people will be calling and ringing their phones off the hooks and voting.
Pushing back. I think the point that you made about the fact that you're an organization that you're kind of like you're the laser pointer and we're all the cats. You point it out and everybody's supposed to just kind of jump on. I think a lot of people miss that. They're like, I pay my dues, I'm just standing back. They didn't do anything for me. And I see that statement being said a lot for a lot of the big organizations, and they're like, well, what did they do? Well, the power of all of these organizations is not the organization. It's all of us moving the ball together. Mm-hmm.
The voters. The voters are the ones with the real power. I don't care how much money a candidate gets. There's plenty of races that prove that. Some candidates got swamped with money, but the voters showed up and overrode that money by electing a different candidate who had nowhere near the funds of the first one. No, I love your analogy. It's consider it stolen, so don't get mad when I use it later. The laser pointer and cats. But it's true. Like, I'll get in and I'll research everything our members need to know. For example, we've got some city council meetings coming up next week, and they're going to be looking at local gun control. That was one of the laws that got passed, was that localities could do local gun control. Well, so far, out of 190 localities, 8 have done it. So it's not real popular in Virginia, but they're doing it. And I researched, who do we contact, and put everything together, and then handed that off to our members and said, okay, here's what you need to do. Here's what you need to talk to. Here's a sample email of what you might want to say. And let's go do this. Let's bombard Winchester, or let's bombard Portsmouth, or whatever it is, and let's try to put a stop to this. But if they don't make those calls, if they don't do the emails, and I've wasted my time, and I can go speak and I can say, yes, I represent 35,000 people. But you want to know what's sad about that? 35,000 people, that's a lot of members. I know a lot of the gun controllers wouldn't know what to do if they had more than 300 members. So I've got 35,000. But what's sad about that is, you know how many permit holders we have in Virginia alone, not counting hunters and everything else? How many? 700,000 permit holders.
Right.
We have 35,000 members. Why don't we have 700,000 members? That's my question.
Well, and there's going to be a lot more. There's going to be a lot more gun owners than there are permit holders. So you should have more than 700,000.
We should have 2 million. Could you imagine if we had that many members? Well, we could. There's nothing we couldn't accomplish. But
right,
we're not there.
Yeah, and I think that people don't get it, that there is no free ride. Look at what's happening in our country. Look at what's happening all over. And one of the things that I tell folks in Ohio is, it's not enough that you know the name of your elected official. You need your elected official to know your name, so that when you reach out and when you go to speak, they have an idea of who you are, what you want, and that you care and that you've been involved all this time. So get them to know you. And to do that, you need to be involved, and you can be stern, but you don't want to be rude. You don't want to get to a point where they don't want to hear from you. And they can understand that you disagree, but you don't have to be disagreeable while you're disagreeing.
Yeah, that turns them off if you do that. But one person that was in the General Assembly said one of the things that work best when you talk to them is make it personal. Explain to them how this affects you, not how it might affect somebody else or potentially could do this. Say, look, if you do this, I put my children in daycare. Now I can't bring a gun onto the property unless I unload it in the car. And that's dangerous to be loading and unloading a gun, especially somewhere like that. This affects me. Why are you doing this? That can be very powerful if you can put it in terms and explain how it really affects you.
Well, and I think that the other part is that they remember stories. So if you can tell them a story that has your point built into the story, when they talk to somebody else, they've got the story of my constituent said this. And so something that touches them or that puts it together in a way makes it so that in their head, that's where Republicans go wrong a lot, is we talk data. And pretty soon people are like, number, I don't care, right? So if we talk more family and feelings and those types of things, you'll be able to get further, because our facts have not been able to trump the other side's feelings for a while. And we better pick up their playbook, and we better have some kind of something that people can kind of get connected with.
Yeah, feelings one shouldn't ignore that, because I know I get emotional about some of this stuff because it's affecting me, it's affecting other people, and you need to let that emotion come through. Of course, I was laughing at you're talking about us being numbers. You know what my occupation was, right? I was a computer programmer. So I spent my whole life dealing with numbers and logic and reason.
I'm an aerospace engineer, so I fully get it. I am.
And technical people like us are largely gun owners too. Yeah. I wouldn't be surprised if Zuckerberg's not a gun owner. I guess he's going to have to ban himself in that case. He'll be one of the other people that can't get off Facebook.
I want to bring in one more comment that came on social media. This is a little bit of a long one. Jill says, the VCDL and other Citizens Defense League throughout the country are some of the cheapest to gain membership with. You get way more bang for your bucks when you consider joining a Citizens Defense League. The VCDL goes above and beyond for what their membership fees are. And I want to dovetail on what Jill said there just a little bit, and that. And I say this often, if you, like me, live in a free state, and they don't get much more free than my home state of South Dakota, but people in South Dakota, Wyoming, Montana, Utah, places where gun rights are secure and we're doing okay, you need to belong to out-of-state groups. Go take your money to where the fight is happening.
Because that fight will come to you no matter where you live eventually. I've had people say to me, well, I'm gonna move out of Virginia, I'm gonna go to another state, and I said, okay. I said, but one piece of advice. I said, what? Get an apartment, because you're going to be moving a lot.
Right.
You may as well keep it to a minimum as you move place to place as this chases you across the country. I say, no, we have to stand up and fight. Thank God our founding fathers didn't run and hide somewhere. The United States of America is Rhode Island or something instead of what it is now. We got to stand and fight. We've got to stand up for people whose voices have been stripped from them. We cannot let them take our rights away. We're Americans. We can't. People died in ditches to protect our rights, and we're going to go run and hide in some trailer somewhere out in the middle of nowhere? I don't think so. That's not the American spirit, not what's expected of us. that have been given so much, a lot is expected in return.
We've got just about a minute left of the time we've got today. But, Philip, if I could, if somebody is interested in joining you from Kansas, from Virginia, from wherever, how can they find out more information? How can they join VCDL?
Just go to vcdl.org, and there's at the top you'll see where you can join us. If you remember, you can renew there. We got lots of information. If you're coming to visit Virginia, we've got gun laws as well that you can look there, in our self-defense laws. Even though the Democrats have been doing their best, we're still an excellent state for gun rights, and we're going to keep fighting to make sure it stays that way. And we'll be busy undoing the bad that's been done over the last year or so.
All right. Well, Philip, I want to thank you so much for joining us. Amanda, thank you for coming on, helping me steer the ship as I try to run the tech in the background. Thank you, everybody who's watching, because we've got, and we're getting comment after comment after comment just popping in. I was only able to get a couple of them on. Thank you for everybody who watched and commented. We're going to have a live show every Monday through Friday, 5 p.m. Central Time, the only time zone that matters. And come join us, watch us, and we'll see you Monday. Thanks, everybody. Why is the stream not stopping? Come on.